There was this one boy at my school who was an absolute disgrace to the world. Literally, I've never met a more idiotic person in my existence. He body shamed and bullied many people. He also was a racist, homophobic, sexist dumbass, and he did many really bad things but never got in trouble. So me being me, I did something about it. I did my research and looked for recipes that would make his tummy rumble jumble. I found a mix of spices that I just so happened to have in my kitchen. I mixed them and put the mixture in a little container. When I got to school, I sprinkled it in his turkey sandwich. When it was time for lunch, he ate the whole thing and didn't even notice anything. During the next period, his ass erupted. He went to the hospital. Turns out I messed up the recipe and gave him something deadly. The bitch died. Lol. Hey, so one time when I was in class I had a very aggressive urge to fart. I was scared it was more than a fart, so I asked the teacher to go to the bathroom and she said yes. I ran down the hallway with my hands on my butt preparing for the worst. I reached the bathroom and slammed the door shut and had the most stinky, slinky, dinky, double-decker Twinkie, extra pepperoni, piggy, sticky shart in the whole world. The walls started to cave in and I'm pretty sure I saw Jesus out the window. The fire alarm went off and everyone was screaming. They thought Thanos snapped his fingers. I screamed in the bathroom sounding like a dying goat. I stopped after 5 minutes and felt like I just killed half the all-known universe myself. When I was 8, my guy best friend and I had a sleepover. It wasn't awkward until we had to go to sleep. He let me sleep on his bed, and he slept on the couch in the same room. The moment I got in his bed, the sheets smelled bad, but my ignorant ass thought it was because he was a boy. After I laid in his bed for 20 minutes I realized it was his piss. This moment I had to go pee, and I decided to pee in his bed because it's no big deal. He heard me peeing and asked what I was doing. I soon realized that his sheets were wet because they were washed, but no dried. And they smelled bad because the detergent. Fun time. Smiley. Time when I was little I thought I could talk to trees. Because I had no friends. And I used to sit by them and say things, and one day I was talking to my tree friend called Kevin, and this girl went up to me and said, "Are you talking to that tree, freak?" And I started crying and hugged onto the tree. And while she was laughing one of the branches fell on the girl's head. One day me and my classmates were on a Zoom call with our teacher for science. We kept writing WAP in the chat and our teacher had enough and said, "What is WAP? Why does everyone keep saying it?" This guy in our class said it stands for work and paper. The guy said we were doing our WAP right now and our teacher said great. Our teacher then said, "Jennifer, show me your WAP right now." We all started laughing and our teacher was confused. He kept saying, "Why won't you show me your WAP?" We were all dying from laughter and our teacher got upset and left the Zoom call. We all sat there kinda speechless and we all just sorta left one by one. So one time in class it was my birthday and I brought in these cupcakes for everyone to share. There is this one kid who is very allergic to gluten and so I thought I bought gluten-free cupcakes. I was wrong. When we started to eat, the kid's face turned green and asked if he could use the bathroom. The teacher said yes, but as soon as the kid stood up, the most aggressive thick, double-decker brick, do a flip, really hot chick, not so quick shard in the whole universe, the window shattered and the sprinklers went off. Everybody swore they saw Satan outside. The kid sharded for like 5 minutes straight with no breaks. He got the shart all over his chair and all over the walls. Once he was done, he was taken to the hospital for how aggressive the shart. I haven't been to the toilet in 4 days and it was starting to worry me, so I went to the doctor's. I arrived and the doctor felt my stomach and said it was very hard. He wanted me to take a stool sample, which means you have to shit in the cup. I had coffee for breakfast, so I was pretty much ready to go. I grabbed the cup and went to the toilet and held it up to my ass and started pushing. I didn't realize how badly coffee affected me, and the next thing you know, a strong gust of diarrhea started blasting out of my ass and I felt like a rocket ready for takeoff. I grabbed onto the door for balance because I started levitating and the cup was already full, but I couldn't stop. I was holding onto the door for dear life and the shit was spitting out like a shotgun. I eventually stopped and looked at the glass cup of my shit and there were cracks all over the glass. I heard the desk lady shouting for everyone to get under the chair and to call the police. I got scared thinking what is going on outside, so I quickly cleaned myself up and rushed out of the bathroom to see everyone crying and hiding under the chairs because they thought there was an active shooter in the building. I said it was just my shit and everyone got up. Anyways, I have bowel cancer. One time I was sitting in church and I had to fart. I knew it would be dangerous considering I have a supernatural asshole. I felt it coming and the next thing you know, the building starts vibrating and the sprinklers got set off. The roof was starting to cave in and I knew it was coming. All the windows were shattering and the ground was wobbling. I did the most chunky, monkey, funky, stunky, bed bunky, tree trunky, gunky, skunky, sloppy, ploppy, moppy, gloppy, mushy, tushy, ooshy gooshy, sushi fart so powerful I needed to get stitches. The walls started to crack and everyone was screaming while hiding under their chairs praying because they thought God was coming down. The danger alarm went off and everyone was calling their family saying they loved them. The roof finally caved in, causing more destruction, and my whole splitting fart finally stopped. Everyone got out from under the chairs and looked around. There was rubble everywhere and even the brick walls was cracked. They were wondering where God is and I had to act concerned with them. Anyways, my fart made it on the news and was titled as California's most deadliest earthquake. Little did they know it was my rib. So y'all remember how PE teachers used to make you run the mile in elementary school? Well boy do I have a fucking story for you. So I was out on the field running my second lap and my stomach started hurting because my fucking mom decided to buy McDonald's for breakfast. So I asked the teacher if I could go to the bathroom and that bitch ass Trump gorilla looking motherfucker said no, so I just kept running and prayed to Michael Jackson that it would go away. So I'm on my third lap and I have to fart. And on God I pulled a Nessa Barrett. So much shit came out that I could literally make a 4-course meal with it. And a chocolate fountain for dessert. I was about to fucking cry. Obviously I wasn't gonna tell my teacher that I shit myself, so I just said I felt like I was gonna throw up. So I go to the clinic literally holding my hands on my ass so nobody would see my shit. When I get to the clinic the nurse tells me to sit down, but in my head I'm like, bitch, if I sit down your chair is gonna look like the chocolate river from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So I just lean on the wall until my mom comes to pick me up. When I stand up off the wall to go to the bathroom my shit is smeared on the wall and the nurse looks at it and she's like, what the fuck? Was that you? And I was like, ew, hell no, and I run to the bathroom and my whole ass had shit on it, and when my mom picked me up I started crying because she asked what smelled like dog shit and she thought she stepped in something and I had to tell her it was my ass. I used to have this art teacher and everyone hated her. She was the biggest bitch, like she was literally so mean and strict, and for what? What was the reason? Anyways, one day she was really testing my limits and she had the motherfucking audacity to rip up and throw away a project I worked on for a week because she said it quote unquote wasn't good enough and that I never even try in her class. Even though I worked so hard on it and I did the best I could. I was mad at her for saying I didn't ever try and that my work wasn't good enough for her, so I was thinking to myself, shut your bubble gum, dumb skin tone chicken bone Google Chrome no homo flip phone disowned ice cream cone garden gnome extra chromosome metronome dimidome genome full blown monochrome student loan Indiana Jones overgrown Flintstone X and Y chromosome friend zone Sylvester Stallone Sierra Leone AutoZone friend zone professionally seen silver patron big headed ass up. And out of anger I grabbed my backpack and said no, I am gonna leave, my way or the highway, and I stormed out of that ugly bitch's class and flipped her off on the way out. I deadass ran out of the school and walked all the way home since I lived close to the school. My mom asked me why I was home early and I told her what happened and she was surprisingly proud of me. So proud that she took me out for ice cream. I was suspended for 3 days for doing that, but oh well, fuck that bitch. One time I went to my best friend's house and my mom came to pick me up and I didn't want to leave, so me and my friend hid under her bed and her mom was screaming our names, but we ignored it and stayed under the bed until both of her parents were searching all around the house for us, and it got to the point where they called the cops because they couldn't find us, and then we finally came down and her mom screamed at us telling us that she called the cops because she couldn't find us and we got in a lot of trouble. One day I was getting ready for school because it was picture day. I had just got new makeup from Easter. I put my foundation on and I thought I looked cute even though the foundation shade made me look sunburnt and the eyeshadow was dark orange. Not a good look. I also wore this ugly musty dress. It was green on the top and the sleeves had brown ruffles. I thought I looked so cool, so I went to school. I am still mad at my parents for sending me to school and that. Everyone stared at me while I walked into class, even my teacher. She was telling us to go down to get our pictures taken by our last names and I went in the beginning since my last name starts with C. I went down and then my stomach started to hurt. I ate McDonald's for breakfast because my parents were too lazy to make breakfast. I honestly started to pray to Whitney Houston that I wouldn't chart. I held my hands to my ass and walked to the photo booth. My stomach started to rumble, grumble, bumble, trumble, numbler, mumble, zumble, lumble. I tried act natural, so I removed my hands from my ass and got ready to take my picture. While I was standing there I did the most soggy doggy, sounded froggy, came out cloggy, looked loggy, made the room foggy, very soggy. I pulled a Nessa Barrett. It made the school building shake so much to the point people thought there was a level 5 tornado. I shat so much that it covered the camera right when they took the photo. When they realized it was my ass and not a tornado. One time when I was in 6th grade there was this one bitch in the class. Her name was Ashley and she was a racist Trump supporter who hated black people and whatnot. One day we were having a test and this hoe dumped her $2 pumpkin spice latte all over my paper, destroying my test. The teacher gave me a bad grade and everyone started laughing and I ran out of the class crying. I went home planning my revenge. I came back to class the next week and I brought the world's strongest laxatives with me. When she got up to sharpen her pencil I dumped the whole bag of laxatives in her coffee. That ugly asshole then proceeded to chug that bitch up in 5 seconds. 2 minutes later her stomach started to it. I knew what was about to happen, so I hid under my desk. Seconds later she did the most soggy doggy, butchered froggy, lock on poppy, came out floppy, made me droppy, it wouldn't stoppy, get that moppy, made her floppy, sends you to helly, hold her belly, smelly like jelly, don't tell Kelly, don't tell Nelly, shut the door, came out more, it wouldn't store, on the floor, ass diarrhea I've ever seen. The creamy lump splattered all over the class and the sprinklers got set off and everyone was screaming and recording. Everyone got the fuck out of there and I pushed Ashley to the ground and she got trampled by the crowd. The school was evacuated and her shit kept on it like that shit wouldn't stop. They found the hubble wubble double tubble mubble ass bitch Ashley and arrested her shortly after. Ashley got expelled from school and we literally ruined that girl's life and she is grounded forever now. Turns out she had undiagnosed hair follicle fibromyalgia. A few days ago my mom asked me if I know what WAP means. She said she sees it all over Facebook and that she's tired of it. I said it means waffles and pancakes and that's what I'm going to make for breakfast. She said oh yum and walked off. I ended up making them because I promised, even though I know that's not what WAP stands for. She ate them and loved them and she put a picture up of me when I was making them. She captioned it, I just gobbled up my daughter's WAP. It was scrumptious. People were laughing in the comment section and she didn't know why. She was replying back to everyone saying what's wrong with eating my daughter's WAP. The post got removed because of community guidelines. Have a story. One day in 5th grade we were on a field trip. On the bus I was sitting next to this weird girl named Patty McBerry. For some fucking reason Patty was so excited about the trip. We were going to a fucking museum. What the actual fuck, who likes museums? They are so fucking boring. Anyways, halfway through the trip Patty McBerry started coughing viciously. She had a seizure due to overexcitement. She was shaking from happiness for the rest of the ride. When we got there Patty McBerry ran out of that bus faster than coronavirus spreads. She fainted because she was so excited. The tour guide had to hold on to Patty while he showed us around because she was too hyper. Out of nowhere, Patty McBerry broke free and ran right to the live animal section. She went to the gorilla's enclosure and smushed her face against the cage wall. Then out of nowhere she starts climbing up the fucking wall. Patty McBerry jumped into the enclosure and tackled the gorilla out of excitement. The gorilla ate Patty and she died.
One day, I was at school. We were in science class and we were making explosions and shit. I was a bit of a rebel in school so I decided to mix every ingredient I could find into one bowl. I then proceeded to heat it over a Bunsen burner. I now realize that was a bad mistake. It exploded all over the students. It made the school shake, caused an earthquake. Even my teacher, Mr. Bumcrack Shakalak, was covered head to toe in this creamy mess I had created. My head teacher, Mrs. Basila Moldymole, expelled me from school for 1 week. But I said, "No fuck you bitch," and I walked like a badass out of my school, with a baddie playlist on. I came back to school the next day and everyone was so impressed by me. Every time I have science I am not allowed to participate. The explosion I made that day was as loud as a hippo giving birth. I am now the most popular person in the school and everyone wants to be my friend. Mr. Bumcrack Shakalak wants to be my boyfriend, and Mrs. Basila Moldymole said she would be lesbian for me. So suck on that bitch.
One time me and my friend Sean were having a talkies mukbang in history. Then our wrinkly ass substitute teacher told us we weren't allowed to eat. Like bitch, you're the sub, how the fuck you gonna tell us the classroom rules when this ain't even your class? Anyways, we put the talkies away and a few minutes later I wasn't feeling so good and I asked to go to the bathroom. Mr. Rahman said wait until Justin comes back. Like motherfucker, Justin ain't gone come back, that bean takes forever in the bathroom. So I sat back down and held it in. A few minutes later Justin came back and I sprinted and took the pass. Then it was too late. I farted and oh my god it smelled so bad the entire class passed out. I ran into the hall to get to the bathroom and shit was pouring out of my ass like a garden hose. Then the school went on lockdown but I said fuck it and went to the bathroom to clean up my shit. While I was in the bathroom the police came into the spot in the hall where I shitted. Turns out my shit was so loud they thought there was a shooter in the school and I got admitted into talkies rehab. I'm Debbie and this is my story. One day I was in my English class watching a movie about Shakespeare. I had beans and coffee before school. The most deadliest combination. It wasn't even that long before my stomach started rumbling when I got into class. The movie was really loud and I sat at the back of the class so I thought it would be my perfect chance to let out the most bubbly fart so no one could hear it over the sound of the movie. As soon as I was about to do it my teacher paused the movie to explain a scene and that's when I let out the most soggy doggy, butchered froggy, shit comes out loggy, made the room foggy, so loud you would think it was the 4th of July. I swear to God one kid sitting next to the window opened the blinds because he thought he heard a thunderstorm outside. I dropped my books on the floor in hope of a save, thinking that people would have thought the sound was my books dropping. But that's when the creamy lumps fell out of my pants onto the floor. I ran out crying to the bathroom and called my mom and she took me home and got me new clothes. I had to go back to school the next day and everyone was laughing at me and was calling me Diarrhea Debbie. Once my teacher was pregnant and 2 months before her due date she went into labor in the middle of class so we were all rushed into the hallway but they couldn't get her out of the classroom so she ended up having her baby in the classroom but since it was premature it was weak and they weren't at a hospital so it died in the classroom and we all saw the dead tiny baby being carried out of the classroom and my teacher was so sad her baby died that she quit her job and a month later we went into lockdown because turns out she broke into the school with a knife and tried stabbing people cause she sorta went insane with the grief of her baby dying and now she's in jail. Girl what in the shitty tit flip switch. One day in math class I was sitting next to this girl named Lucy McBoozy when our teacher surprised us with a test and a 6-page work packet. When Lucy McBoozy heard that she got up on her desk and started to do some Tarzan jungle man swinging from a rubber band shit freaking out she galloped over to the teacher's desk and took out the sloppiest whoppiest stink-dinking wettest shat and threw it on the teacher's head. When the class smelled that most of them passed out and most ran out the room. Lucy McBoozy wasn't finished with the shat and more came out. The office thought there was a shooter in the school so we went into lockdown the office then realized it was Lucy McBoozy stinky ass. Turns out she had bowel cancer, the Great Plague, the Spanish flu and coronavirus. Now cause of her we are doing online school so our school and get a deep clean. Work as a waitress at a restaurant and there is this couple that comes in every Thursday. They always flirt with me very creepily and it makes me uncomfortable. I am only 16. They look to be in their 40s maybe even 50s. It was Thursday and as you guessed, there they were sitting there smiling and waving me over. I greeted them as usual and asked what they'd like and the husband said I would like you, gorgeous, and his wife started hysterically laughing. I didn't want to put up with this anymore so I started walking away to ask for another waitress to handle them. When they suddenly both got up and grabbed my arm and started apologizing. They said they won't do it anymore and to just come back and write down their order. So I said fine. They ordered their food and ate so I gave them the pay slip after. They both winked at me and walked out. I opened the pay slip to see a little note they left. It was my full address and a comment on the side saying I don't go to in-person school. I stay online and do school on Zoom. I thought being online was very convenient because I could bring my tablet anywhere with me and still be in school. One time when I was on my lunch break, my mom went to get me a taco from Taco Bell because my other option was McDisgusting and God knows that I would rather die than to eat that shit. I went to go get my food from the kitchen and went up to join my class because my lunch break was over. I was eating the taco and all of a sudden my stomach started to boom boom shakalaka grumble bumble. In my head I was just like, I can just bring my tablet to the bathroom with me while I shit. So I did that. I placed my tablet against the wall facing me and I took a shit. The shit literally shot out of my asshole faster than the earth could orbit around the sun. I did the most runny gunny, faster than a bunny, bees making honey. It spent my money. I was far from done me. I wasn't funny. Chubby bunny. Outside was sunny. Extremely smelly. Wiggled like jelly. Traumatized Kelly. Welly belly Nelly. Fly in a heli. Cell phone telly. Scared my cat Shelly. Petroleum jelly. People started laughing but I thought the teacher said something funny. Then the teacher said, Sophia, you had all of lunch break to use the bathroom and you choose to not only do it during class but to also show us all too. I froze for a good 3 seconds because of how embarrassed I was. I fell face first into the floor and left the Zoom and turned my tablet off. I stayed there with my face in the floor for like 3 minutes just taking in what I just did. I didn't go back to school for like 3 weeks. When I decided to go back, people called me Sophia.
When I was in 9th grade we had a substitute teacher. Let me tell you he was so fine. All the girls were over him. Mind you he was at least 25 or older. Since it was a sub everyone thought they could do whatever. So everyone took out their phones and started messing around. But he wasn't having it so he took everyone's phones and put them in a bucket. He also made us beg for them back until we were so tired we couldn't even talk. Once class was over he told me to stay. I just stood there not knowing what to do but then he said, since you were the only one not using your phone I want to give you a special surprise but you can't tell anyone got it and then that's when I knew what he was doing. Part 2 is here. So I ran. I went to the principal's office and told him everything. He said it's not a big deal and told me to go to my next class. I just screamed at the principal and he slapped me like WTF. He told me to sit down so I sat there and then he called my mom and my mom said she's not picking me up because she is too busy being a stripper. So he told me I have to be suspended for making up lies. He said to go to class and I'll get my punishment later. I walked to my next class and the fine substitute grabbed me and put me in his classroom. Part 3 is here. So once he grabbed me into the classroom he started to hit me. I tried throwing a desk at him but my twig arm said no. He was holding me down and I finally kicked him where it hurts and he got off me. I left the classroom with my legs bleeding and shaking. I left school and ran home. Once I got home nobody was there and so I called my mom. She didn't answer. I called my dad. He didn't answer. I saw a note on my desk so I went over to see what it said. And it said that my parents and siblings went on a vacation without me. So I just went to my room and cried. Let's talk about the time I threw a big fat caca onto my teacher. I was dancing in class because I am a baddie. I am so baddie so I stand on the desk and start twerking cause I can do whatever I want. And then I felt a big rumble jumble up in my tum-tum and I knew I had to take a big fat juicy poop. My stomach was grumbling louder than the hurricane across my street that blew up a week ago. So I clenched my butt cheeks and held my butthole shut. But that wasn't enough. I felt my poop ready to explode so I grabbed a chip clip and clipped my butthole shut and kept dancing. I couldn't hold it anymore so I blew a big fart out of my butt crack and a huge poop fell onto the desk. I threw it at my teacher's face and that's it. Better buckle up because this one's a ride. One day when I was 11 my mom let me use her laptop so I can study for my classes and shit. I got so bored while studying so I decided to go on some frisky websites. Until this ad popped up. It said congratulations you've won a free MacBook Pro. Click here to claim it. I thought OMG holy shit I got a free laptop now I won't have to use my mom's and she won't have to save money to buy me one. So I clicked claim. It redirected me to a blank page and then everything went frozen. I couldn't click out of it or shut off the laptop and I started freaking out. Not because I thought something bad was happening no I was freaking out because I thought someone else was gonna claim the laptop before me. The camera started flashing indicating that it was turned on, and I started hysterically crying because I thought it meant that someone else claimed it. My mom heard me hyperventilating so she ran into the room in a panic, and she found me slobbering on her laptop while the screen was blank. She ran over and hugged me and asked what's wrong, and that's when we heard a dark low demonic voice from the laptop say we found you, before it shut off and wouldn't turn.
One day when I was packing my lunch my grandpa asked me what I was eating so I told him I was gonna eat a sandwich, apples and Takis. He asked what Takis were and I said they were spicy chips. He asked to try one but my grandma told me that if I gave him a Taki I would regret it. I gave him one anyway. When he bit the Taki he jumped 65 feet in the air screaming. He was asking for milk and we gave him milk but we forgot he was also lactose intolerant. While he was drinking the milk he ran out of the room and tripped on our pet pussy. He started farting and it sounded like we lived next to NASA when a rocket is about to launch. He let out the longest sloppy gloppy bloppy moppy noppy copy loppy floppy sloppy. When he fell I heard his back crackle McFrackle tackle. His back cracked, the cat attacked
Roaches get attract. He broke his back, his shit turned abstract. He fell on the floor and couldn't get up no more. He was very sore. He looked like a dead boar. The pussy when bonker yonker plonker knocker conkers. We rushed him to the hospital and found out he died from a ruptured rib cage and explosive diarrhea. We also found out he had lymphedema, type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes, bowel cancer, the bubonic plague, the coronavirus, the Spanish flu, tuberculosis, malaria, AIDS, shitworm, measles and polio.
One day at school I had the urge to take a big fat poo-poo because my silly daddy had bought me KFC for breakfast. By the time class started I was already sticking my fingers up my butt so that a big fat slinky winky flunky pinky poo-poo wouldn't fall on the floor. I was so embarrassed. I started farting silently in my seat. Oh gosh. Emily the Norris nut lover wouldn't stop staring at me. Her nostrils started opening really big and she smelled the room. Emily yelled to the class that I fucking farted. Like thank you Emily. Everyone stared at me and that made me so angry. I huffed and puffed and went to Emily's face. I took the fattest shit on her face you could possibly imagine. Surprisingly, she started eating it. She said it tasted like shrimp, and she loves shrimp so much that she started singing this while eating my shit.
Now we are the gayest squad by far. Stay trippy, stay trippy. Stay trippy, stay trippy. Stay trippy, we are the shrimp squad. Stay trippy, shrimp squad.
Emily eventually turned into a shrimp and ate the whole classroom.
Time when I was eating a taco with beans in it, my stomach started to grumble bumble. I tried running to the bathroom but I didn't make it in time. I pulled the most sticky icky, came out quickie, please don't licky, Azalea Iggy, Minaj Nicky, don't tell Vicky, look it up on wiki. It was very sloppy, very floppy, like a grasshoppy, it wouldn't stoppy, give me a moppy, it was very clumpy, extraordinarily bumpy, Humpty Dumpty, Donald Trumpy, made me jumpy, made me grumpy, extremely slimy, made me climby, not so limey, smelled real bad, according to dad, I need a pad, don't tell Chad, made me sad, totally rad, biggest shit I've ever had, not so glad, help me please, made me freeze, gave me fleas, air Febreze, a chew sneeze, ABCs, made me wheeze, it was fast, like a ghast, it long lasted, I need an asshole cast, came out full blast, on the forecast, I was harassed, vigorously smelly, welly deli belly, smelled like New Delhi, looked like a pork belly, Rixie Skelly, don't tell Ellie shit I've ever done, turns out I have bowel cancer. One time when I was doing my work the teacher announced to the class that there would be a new girl named Serafina Valentina. She walked in the class and everyone immediately noticed that she was wearing all pink and was carrying 56 stuffed animals. Her shirt was all pink and it said I love my mama. Her pants were pink with purple stripes. Her shoes were twinkle toes that would light up when she walked. Her backpack was Jojo Siwa. She had a unicorn pencil box and she of course was wearing a Jojo Siwa bow in her hair. She looked like the bath bomb we would buy at Claire's. Everyone started yelling and Serafina Valentine noticed so she asked us what we were laughing at. Oh my god, when she opened her mouth her breath smelled like old canned dog food. Her teeth also looked like avalanches. We said we weren't laughing at anything but when we saw her teeth we laughed even more. She grabbed her pink Care Bear stuffed animal out of her backpack and threw it at us. She kept grabbing stuffed animals and throwing them. The teacher tried to get her to stop but Serafina Valentina knocked her unconscious. Her stuffed animal collection never ended. I pointed my ass at her and pushed. The diarrhea force was so strong it broke a hole in my pants. My shit splattered on her and then the other teachers came into the room. Serafina Valentina was expelled and I went to the doctor and was diagnosed with extreme bowel.
Hey y'alls, it's Reese's back with another story time about school because school is a baddie McFatty. Okay, so a few years back I had this old as fuck teacher named Miss Shitake Mushrooms and y'all I don't know why she wasn't already retired because she was at least like 70 years old but you do you boo. This woman also fucking had arthritis or something and she was overweight so she had one of those stroller things with wheels so that the boomer wouldn't fucking fall over and die. Even with the walker I swear to God she had to start walking to class about 10 minutes before the bell rings to get there on time because she was a slow-mo boho. So there was this one motherfucking day when we were in class and lil old Johnny was called to answer the question on the board in class. It was 1 + 1 and fucking Johnny said it was 11. Everyone laughed but oh no Shitake lady was not pleased. She threw her stroller out of the window and that bitch became faster than Usain Bolt and started chasing lil Johnny across the room with one of those pizza paddles like where the fuck did.
So when I was in 4th grade, slime was really popular. It was so popular to the point everyone was making it and people would trade their slimes all the time. I was one of those people. I also did YouTube videos and some of the kids from my school would watch them. I basically did slime tutorials and I would sell my slimes for 50 cents. One time I got a comment from this girl named Augusti Musty. She commented on my video saying how she wanted to buy the slime I made. I said yes of course. The next day at recess we both met behind the basketball courts. I brought the slime she asked for and told her that it would cost 50 cents. This bitch said she only brought a quarter. She kept demanding me to give her the slime for a quarter so I had enough. I slapped that hoe in the head with the slime and the slime got stuck in her hair. I started putting more slime in her hair. Then when it was all in there I yanked the slime out. I swear I ripped so much hair out of her head that she looked like an egg. Her hair came out in clumps and it looked like she had lice and fleas. I pulled her hair so hard it made her shart. She pulled the most clumpy, Donald Trumpy, very lumpy, made her grumpy, Humpty Dumpty, smelled like a dumpy, made roads bumpy, made me thinky, it smelled stinky, made the boys winky, marker inky, wanna linky, I ran far, hit her with the car, went to the bar, twinkle twinkle little star, gave her scars, smoked cigars, sounded like a jaguar, went to Mars, shit I have ever seen. She went to the hospital and she turned out to have bowel cancer.
One sunny early morning, my dad entered my room and told me that we were going to our neighbor's house. I punched my dad in the face because I did not want to go because our neighbors have a very weird wolf kid called Suzette Longbridge Washington. Her wolf name is Kitten Mitten. My dad took a fat sloppy, gloppy, floppy, cloppy poo-poo on my bed and told me to shut the fuck up and get ready. Anyways, I got changed and we walked to our weird neighbor's house. First thing I saw was Suzette on the roof. She was eating her nails, jumping up and down and barking at me. She finally jumped down and licked my face to welcome me. The neighbors told me to go play with Suzette and so I did. This bitch literally started eating my fake ass extensions from my bald ass head and ran away. Oh no, I wasn't going to let this silly wolf bitch eat my expensive ass extensions. I knew what would piss her off. I chase her around the house and steal her fake cheap furry Walmart tail. And for the first time in my life, she stops and talks. That kinda turned me on. We made out and I became.
One time I was listening to WAP and my dad asked what the fuck I was listening to. Keep in mind my dad owned a church and he was a preacher and he spoke every weekend, so anyways I told him it was a song called WAP-an. He asked me what WAP stood for and I told him it meant worship and pray. That next weekend my dad was preaching and then he said okay everyone let's WAP. My dad started saying WAP every time he spoke in church and then eventually he renamed the church the WAP Church. I still haven't told him what it actually stands for. One day I decided to invite this kinda weird girl over to my house as no one ever wanted to hang out with her and I felt a little bit bad. I told her to meet me in this classroom after the last bell went for the end of the day. I walked all the way to the classroom and she wasn't there. I was really confused as that's where I told her to go. At this point I was bursting for a piss cause the old fat teacher named Pat didn't let me go during the lesson. I made the decision to go to the toilet and maybe she would be there when I got back. When I got to the toilet, there was someone in one of the cubicles having the biggest shit ever. It stunk of moldy eggs, clothing pegs, hairy legs, picture frame, really lame, my idol, touchy-feelio, bug-infested rat, ugly hat, wet dog, greasy fog, shiny spoon, the cow jumped over the moon, loud fan, white van, stinky feet, your outfit is neat, flying bird, donkey turd, deep sleep, big leap. Shit started to seep under the cubicle door. I screamed and jumped onto the sinks and asked who it was. It was Toenail Tabby, the girl who was meant to come round to my house. In that moment I was so glad she didn't do that in my house, otherwise we would have had to live on the streets as the plumbing bill would have been like $1 million. I had to walk her up to medical covered in her own shit as I couldn't just leave her there. Her mom picked her up and took her home. The next